SDP VIP, the Steve Dangle Podcast, with your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
Let's go!
After the Whistle is a podcast out of Buffalo with Andrew Peters and Craig Rivet, who were both Buffalo Sabres at one point in their career.
They were.
And they tweeted out yesterday, please stop bringing palm trees and wearing tropical shirts to games. Rumor has it the Sabres brass is apparently very upset about it. True story.
So here's what I take from that. They don't want you to stop doing
Yes, so they retweeted this and they said, just to clarify, this tweet was intended to inspire, not discourage.
it. Oh, okay. That's good.
So
no, dude. Listen, Sabres management and ownership deserve to hear from their fans, dude. And listen, again, it's baby steps.
Yep.
It's baby steps. Remember when you were getting chirped for literally having like an unwatchable, uniceable product, and then you invited beloved alumni on the ice and you couldn't even give them authentic jerseys with the name spelled correctly?
Yes.
Remember that?
Yep.
Now it's just, hey, we thought you'd be further along.
Yeah,
Baby
exactly.
steps. I still think, like, okay, I figured it out. The Buffalo Sabres problems are normal hockey team problems.
Yes.
That wasn't the case for a long time.
Yep.
There's problems were like traveling circus problems.
Yes.
And now they're, oh man, we wish we won more. That's better.
We're probably what did CJ say? An impact forward away from winning more.
I totally agree with that assessment. Like
But don't worry too much, Kevin, about the 5 years from now, dude.
Yeah.
You're not going to be here. Do it now. You're here now.
That's a good point. I think he was a dartboard. I mean, he said some things he shouldn't have, but like also I believe they're under an internal cap.
I don't think he did a bad job with that press conference, like listening back to the segment, but there are some things in there where you're like, yeah, listen, the reality is, and I hear it again from Sabres fans. They're like, I can't believe you compared Jack Eichel to Josh Allen. And I'm like, okay, maybe not a direct comparison, but remember, Jack Eichel won a cup and scored 26 points in 22 games on the way. You guys had your start.
Considering how out for blood the reporters were, he did very well. And I want everyone to remember that press conference. Just dagger, 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 over and over and over again. Think of the last time the Toronto Media Corps did that to anybody. Anybody. Like, coordinated attack.
Yeah.
All of them. Every guy in that room. Just F you, Kevin.
Well, I think that they, the Sabres don't play in the real NHL. It's pretty clear from that press conference that they're playing in whatever NHL the Montreal Canadiens the Leafs are in. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they're not. Sorry, Sabres fans, you're not the real NHL anymore.
Oh,
You are welcome to the club.
People care.
Speaking of the real
Transition.
NHL, the Leafs and Devils last night, and what has to be one of the goofiest games I think any of us have ever seen. The Leafs had one shot in the first period. One shot. And it's funny because I was repeating that during my stream in the second period, and there were some Oilers fans who had just jumped in, I guess, getting ready for their game, and they're like, what?
I know. 18-1. It's
in
funny.
the first period, just the first period.
It was like 6-0 after like 4 or 5 minutes, and I was like, oh, that's pretty bad.
16-1.
Oh, 16-1.
So, no, there was a graphic that said, okay, this has been like an epidemic the last couple seasons. Mm-hmm. The shot counter is unwatchable.
Yeah, they readjust it constantly.
Yeah.
I don't remember that ever being a consistent problem, but like you can't go by the in-game shot clock. It's just wrong. It's just always wrong.
Right.
So I had a stat that I wanted to get to, and the stat depended on having dependable shot information from last night's game, and I don't know if I have it.
What's the stat?
The stat is, okay, you ever get a hunch and then you investigate the hunch and it's confirmed?
Okay.
It's a great feeling.
What's the stat?
Here, you know what? I'm going to send it to you so you can put it on the screen.
Hey, Steve, what's the stat?
Oh, for fuck's sake. I'm going to give it to you so you can put it on the screen
Okay.
to help people understand the stat. Just waiting for
Give me
it
a
to get
second.
to you.
Yeah, give me a second.
The hunch was, as I'm watching Stolarz make save after save after save, do the Leafs play worse in front of Stolarz than they do in front of Woll? This isn't a criticism of Anthony Stolarz in the least. For the love of God, send to Jesse.
What's the stat?
Can we pause?
No. No, just hit me.
There you go. Okay, it finally got there. Jesus.
Here we go.
Pause the whole show.
All right.
Gillicuddy. I had to deal with Toronto traffic on the way here, and now this fucking thing.
Steve's in a
Patty,
great
you're gonna,
All right.
you're gonna have to move us off the.
So
all right.
here we go.
Steve's stats
So
taking
the
up too much area on the
Fucking stat
We can't go picture in picture.
is. I was like, do the Leafs play crappy in front of Stolarz?
Yeah.
Because his Woll's record is pristine. Stolarz' record is like pretty good, but it's not nearly as pristine. But they have near identical save percentage numbers. So shots for versus shots against for Anthony Stolarz, 436 to 475. That is a shot differential of negative 39 on average. In Anthony Stolarz Leafs game, the Leafs will be outshot 27.25 to 29.69. With Joseph Woll in net, shots for versus shot against, 314 to 275. Total shot differential of plus 39, not minus 39 like Anthony Stolarz, plus 39. So on average, Joseph Woll's Leafs outshoot their opponents by nearly 4 shots a game. And I checked goal differential as well. It wasn't included in this graphic. On average, the Leafs score a quarter of a goal per game more with Woll in net than they do with Stolarz in net.
Right.
I don't understand that phenomenon at all, but they play way worse in front of Anthony Stolarz. So, like, if you were to ask me who the better goalie is, I'd probably have to defer to Stolarz. And if you ask me who my game one of the playoff starter would be right now, I think it's Woll. They play better in front of him. And he's almost as good, so good enough.
You can't do that.
Is that weird?
You can't do that. That's weird. You can't. No, Stolarz has been the best.
He's definitely been the best, and they leave him out to dry.
If
they let the guy
Steve,
get
if they
shelled.
can't get up game one for the playoffs, then trade the whole team.
Well-
just sorry.
Hey, every fucking show we've done every spring. Sorry, okay, I'll calm down on the swearing.
Let's talk about this because this is their 5th bad game in a row, and they have won 3 of them.
Bad to mediocre, yeah.
Yeah, like because I think that they were very mediocre against the Blackhawks. They had one good period against the Preds. The Capitals just flat out outworked them for every single battle. The Penguins rolled them, and it was embarrassing. And the Penguins got destroyed last night. I don't know, man. I look at this game and go, this is a team that you should test yourself against, and you should use your newfound physicality to push them around. And they didn't until they did.
Once they figured that out, they did okay.
So let me talk about the first period, just as from the perspective of I was streaming it, and we got into between the first and the second period, we got into like shot counter, like will the Leafs get 2 shots before the Devils get 10? Will the Leafs get 5 shots before the Devils get 20? And each time it was no.
No.
And what was hilarious is I'm looking at the game with 11 or I think it's 13 minutes to go. I stopped the chat and I was like, guys, you're getting real negative here. It's only 1-0. The Leafs could absolutely win this game. And everybody's like, yeah, whatever, blah, you're full of it. And I said, no, you take whatever time you are at in the third period. You don't care if you're a player what the first and second period looked like. That can be tomorrow's problem.
Yes.
You just go, okay, rearview mirror, I can do this now. And I think the game hinges on, if I'm allowed to say it, a hit. Because things started to show life after Max Pacioretty ran over Jack Hughes.
I think that's entirely narrative.
You think so?
Yeah.
It felt like
the game hinges on Pontus Holmberg. Like
so let's talk about the hit first. I want
It's either Patches or Pontus, which is crazy.
Yeah. I want to talk about the Pacioretty hit. Can we bring it up? It's such a bonkers hit. If you missed this, I can pull it up, Jesse.
It's okay. I got it.
This hit is like, it's a monster. It's
awesome.
one of those things where they had Pacioretty playing with Matthews and Marner to start the game. It wasn't working. Berube put the lines in a blender, put Nyes back where he belongs.
That's okay. He put Minton there for a bit.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I like that he tried him there.
Okay.
But I when this hit happened, and it's been very funny to watch the Devils' call of this because they're like, Jack Hughes didn't even have the puck.
Yeah, they corrected themselves.
He for sure had the puck.
But no, he had the puck.
This is a hit that it's like, oh yeah, we were really missing that when Pacioretty wasn't in the lineup. Like people expect Max Pacioretty to be the guy that he was 5 years ago, and he's not.
He started to put up more points before he got hurt, but he was trucking guys. That was his identity as a Leafs player.
I didn't realize that he was capable of trucking guys.
I had no idea.
Okay,
no idea.
So I'm not the only one.
No, I had no idea he had that in his bag. Boy, oh boy,
that's about as clean as a look as you can get.
That screenshot from Jesse, like you talk about Jack Hughes just not preparing for the boom at all. Now, Devils fans were somewhat cross with me in the LFR because I said at the beginning of the season when I was, admittedly paying a little bit more attention to the Devils. There's 32 teams. I thought they had changed their identity for the better. Because last year, I think they were the softest team in the NHL. Bottom 5, for sure. Whoops. Nope, still there. And they responded with, well, you obviously haven't watched many Devils games this year, which, yeah, correct. Again, there's 32 teams. They've been chippier. They've been more physical. They've been strong defensively. I didn't say anything about their defensive play. I assumed they're good defensively. But this can't happen. Jack Hughes can't get flattened like that with Brendan Dillon on the ice and Dougie Hamilton and anyone. It's Max Pacioretty. Does he have an NHL fight on his card? Do something. Do anything.
And so once this hit is laid, and I don't know, Jesse, can we show the fallout?
Yep.
There's a lot of why-I-oughtas.
Wham.
Oh, God.
Jack Hughes, to his credit, did see it coming and bailed out. Like he starts sliding down before
smart.
He gets absolutely crushed.
Yeah, it might have led to some head contact.
Yeah, because it's him sliding down so his head doesn't get taken off completely.
Yeah. Now, I want to ask why the whistle blew after this.
Because Dougie Hamilton went and stood around pretending he was going to do something.
So there's a half answer.
That's literally why.
There's a half answer. So I got angry about this because I'm like, okay, Simone Benoit got a penalty for throwing the puck over the glass. That's called delay a game. So when someone lays a legal body check and everyone stands around and goes, why I oughta, and stops playing hockey and the ref has to blow the whistle, what is that? I would call it delay of game. They're delaying the game because they blew the play dead for no reason other than all the players stopped playing hockey. What happened in the chaos of that hit is Brendan Dillon actually smacked the puck down the ice for an icing. And if you watch, the ref's just standing there, and one of the Leafs, I think it might have been Matthews, was looking at him like, what's happening right now? And the ref goes, one of you skate backwards. And so a Leaf skated towards their own end. He goes, all right, cool, it's icing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep. So the call that came out of that was icing.
Okay. All right.
That's why the whistle was blown ultimately. It's funny. Refs like sort of don't tell you to keep playing, or like there was a goal a couple of years ago. It might have even been Devils Sabres, where no one on the ice was playing. There was a big hit or something, and everyone was fighting with each other. Mm-hmm. And the ref decided it's fine that they're doing that. The play continues. The one player on one team gets a breakaway, and they're like, all right, and they just score.
Yeah.
Or was it
That's the way it should be, by the way. If players decide to stop playing after a hit, and assuming there's no fights, play goes on.
It's a little funny to me that like nothing came of that.
And now, So then you pair that with the Kovacevic hit where Nyes got him from behind, got the 2 minutes for boarding.
That was bad.
And again, the Devils do nothing. Mm-hmm. And I get it's Kovacevic, it's not Jack Hughes, but I was like, this is crazy. Like, these guys are not responding at all.
Before you go too quickly away from what Steve was saying, it was Chris Tanev was standing there trying to talk to the ref and be like, the puck's down there.
Oh, no.
You can see it, because I was trying to find the other replay where you have to play after when Dylan shoots the puck down the ice. So you can see it here. So the puck's over here. Dylan has it about the face-off dot. And he shoots it down the ice because Dougie Hamilton goes over there, pretend like he's a tough guy. So Dylan shoots the puck down the ice. So it just went off of his stick, right? And Tanev down here in the corner. So he's about at the blue line. Mm-hmm. He sees the puck go down. So the puck is bouncing off the boards here. And he turns to chase it. And he's going down the ice. But then he's like, oh, wait.
A line brawl.
Keep going. It's not going. So I'm going to turn around. And he circles right back. And he looks at the ref. And he's like, the puck's down there. What do I do? So then Willie...
Shots are 25-6, by the way.
This whole time, the puck is at the other end of the ice, but you can't initiate an icing until somebody goes down there to play the puck. And then Willie, he turns here. I assume he's the one who goes down at least like halfway so the ref can blow the whistle. Yeah,
so you
see Willie here just skate by. He's down there. And I assume he just initiates the icing. At any point, it cuts away, so you can't really tell what happened.
Chaos.
At any point, any of these Devils that are doing absolutely nothing could have skated down and got the puck and had a breakaway.
Yes.
So listen, you won't stand up for your guy, you won't stand up for your best player, and you're not smart enough to turn around and go get the puck.
Dougie Hamilton
That's an embarrassing play.
Said it's better that I stand here and pretend I'm angry than to go get a free breakaway.
And why do you have Brendan Dillon?
Brendan Dillon,
what do you have him
is
for?
He's a bad man. He is a bad man. He's a great player, great addition to the New Jersey Devils. He provides so much of what they lack. I don't know if maybe he's like, Patches isn't my weight class. Like, he's not my... I mean, that would not be a fair fight. Dillon would kill him. Mm-hmm. But no one paid a price at any point. And they even said on the Devils broadcast, they're like, well, keep your eye out for the next time Pacioretty's on the ice. Nothing happened.
No.
Nothing happened.
Well, because they're not going to do anything. Because they're the Devils.
Oh, boy. I think this is going to spread. Because when you're mad about one thing, it's easier to get mad about another. Mm-hmm. So they're mad that they lost that game, or at least they should be. And whoever their next opponent is, it should be a chippy game. That can't happen. That can't happen. If that was Mitch Marner getting got like that, which I think would be the equivalent, we'd be losing our frigging mind.
But on previous Leafs teams, this did happen, and the Leafs didn't do anything about it. Mm-hmm. And it was embarrassing then. And it was part of the team ethos. We'll get him back on the power play. And then you realize
that's dating back to Babcock.
Yeah. Well, but Keefe carried that.
Yep.
That was a Dubas thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we clearly found out it didn't work, at least in the playoffs. Now, listen, watch the Devils go win the Cup. They dominated this game.
They're a great team. They're a great team. I'm not saying they're not.
But what I want to ask next is about the Leafs tying goal. The Devils' goal had to be Andre Palat. Had to be. Yep. Was a great goal, across the ice. You spread Stolarz out. That's the only way really to get the puck past him. Yep. And he even then had a good read on it. Oh. But the Leafs, when the Leafs score, it's just a hard work play from a depth player. Connor Dewar causes a bit of a turnover. He's already shorthanded. He outraces Dawson Mercer for a puck. Mm-hmm. And that...
He's a fast guy.
Didn't realize he was that fast, though.
Oh, he's pretty fast.
But what blows me away about this is he ultimately is able to win the puck battle enough for it to just sit there in front of Markstrom, who is the guy that created the phrase,
if you're a goaltender, tend the goal.
And it looked like he was like, should I go get it? To me.
Oh, is that maybe? Because he wasn't like that. I'm sorry. That shouldn't go in.
It didn't seem like he was ready for it.
No, he wasn't.
That caught him off guard.
It caught it, which, good shot from Pontus. Awesome. The full belly laugh I had when the broadcast said It's his first goal on a goalie this year.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, the first one was an empty net, and then this one. Yeah, depth
They
scoring
should not have
hasn't-
won that game.
Depth scoring hasn't been good for the Leafs. It broke a streak of, what was it, 6 straight by the top 4, something like that?
Oh, I thought it would have
The
been
core 4.
even longer than that.
Yeah, maybe it was more than 6, but there's a long streak of just goals from the top 4, or the core 4.
They are, I mean, carrying it, man.
Yeah.
They're just carrying it. No, great goal. Like, hilarious. A team has never been less deserving of a win. But they got it. I mean, geez. I've never seen a team go 3-2 in their last 5 and need a get-right game. But, like, tomorrow against the Ducks, I believe it is.
Trouba's in town.
Oh, yeah. Trouba's in town, and I'll be streaming it. Jesus, they need a good performance. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
They got to be feeling awesome after that, though.
Well, I think
Maybe
what
not
I was,
Stolarz. He's
what I was
probably
thinking
feeling tired.
is in the third period, if you're Craig Berube, the only thing you can really yell at the guys to get them going at this point is get this win for Anthony.
Oh, 100%.
Get this win for your goalie. He deserves it. And, you know, it's funny. In overtime, the Devils do what every team does. They win the first faceoff, and they keep the puck away from the Leafs the entire time.
So annoying.
Cycle. Had a couple of good 2-on-1s, and somehow Matthews does essentially the Connor Dewar reverse and
Gets the breakaway.
gets the breakaway and scores.
You know what? We skipped over something.
What?
That was the breakaway, and he scored, and that was good. But Adam, did you notice how many 2-on-1s the Leafs had that they didn't score?
A lot of them.
A lot of them. They didn't even hit the net.
Yeah. Matthews kept missing the net. I was like, what the hell's going on here?
For the narrative. Every time they got one, I stood up. I'm like, come on! No! Every
Has
single
it occurred
time.
to you that the Leafs overpass on a 2-on-1? That's kind of the thing.
Oh, man.
You remember the Marner one where he put it right in the defenseman's skates? I was like, Mitch,
I know.
shoot, rebound, Matthews.
Austin
That's it.
had such a good chance, and he got Markstrom to bite. I think this was on like the third one, and he just misses. No! I was standing up going, for the video, hey, screw the 2 points. Think of the LFR. Think of the podcast. Get it in. Oh, well. That's
So-
okay. And then, yeah, fuck. Like, Matthews was fired up for that OT winner. And, like, you don't see that kind of reaction out of him, like, too often. It's got to mean something, and he knows that's a heist.
Yeah. I want to
Shouldn't
say
have
this.
got that win.
I want to say this. I think there's a lot of social media chatter, and I understand it, about Austin's play.
You just get startled by it?
And I had to burp. And I was trying to talk through it.
Okay. Maddie, what was your reaction to that?
No, I was just wondering what that was.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, we didn't have to draw attention to it.
I-
I'm gonna
yeah, it was
burp right into the microphone.
It was on mic.
So there's been a lot of like tweets about is he still injured, whatever. Very likely, like most NHL players, Austin is nursing something. But I want to say that anybody that's like, hey, I haven't really liked the way he's played since he's been back. The entire team's been bad.
Yeah.
And I want to
Which is also a problem.
I want to put it into context because he's come back and he's been well over a point a game. And he scored that big goal and he had a couple assists on his first night back.
How many
And
chances did he have?
he had 4 or 5. He had the only chances.
Like,
really.
he's playing not dissimilar to how he was playing at the very beginning of the season when he was getting 1,000 chances and they weren't going in. Then his play dropped off and the chances went away, and you're like, okay, something's wrong here. Then he went away to Germany, and now he's back. I don't know what to make of this.
My point is this. Maybe let the team get right before we start putting, Austin's injured. It's going to be, listen, I get it. But it's not like CJ says it every year. Like, it's not breaking news that NHL players are injured all the time. And people are like, well, he didn't have a great game. I'm like, dude, the whole team sucked. Like, I don't know. They had 1 shot in the first period, man.
Guys are coming back. Pacioretty's what?
2 games back.
2 games back.
Max got his first.
I gotta say, his game was fine. It was fine. He can't be on the ice in overtime ever again.
No, you don't think so?
Who? Max?
Max Domi. He's one of the worst 3-on-3 players in the league.
Really? I think with his speed and his puck handling,
He's so one-dimensional. It doesn't help in 3-on-3.
There was a line change that I think he only played one shift in the overtime. There was a line change that nearly cost him the game.
Yes, there was.
Yeah.
And it was him and OEL.
Yeah,
I think.
that's exactly it.
And it was OEL's turn to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's just like, me too. What?
That was bad.
Where are you going?
That led to the 2-on-1.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
Max.
I also don't think
Dude, he can't play 3-on-3.
I don't think his skill set is good for 3-on-3.
It should be.
It's so pass first that it's not helpful.
Yeah.
You know, if you can't, because you want everybody on the ice to be able to finish because you don't know who's going to get that opportunity, right?
Yep.
And it's great for 5-on-5 because you got to be able to pass. You know, there's so many guys on the ice, but at 3-on-3, you need everybody to be out there to take the opportunities when they can get them. And Domi's so pass first that I don't think it's really helpful.
I think too, I will say this with Patches, with Domi, even with Matthews, like give him a few games, everybody. Not the overtime. I can believe you on the overtime
I don't
part.
understand the Matthews thing. He has 4 goals in in 5 games.
He's fine.
Like
The
what?
standard he has set for himself is so cartoony.
Yeah.
That if he goes 2 games without scoring, we're like, I think he's broken.
Over the 19 games he's played so far this season, he's scored 9 goals. That's a 40-goal pace.
Which is 29 goals behind last year's pace.
Well, let's hold on.
I think for a guy who started the year with whatever injury he had to go to Germany for, and then he played through that for a couple of weeks, and then he's now back in the lineup, and he's been 4 goals in 5 games. I think a 40-goal pace is pretty good for the up and down month that he's had on and off the ice.
Yes, I agree completely. And remember,
I don't understand that.
A lot of those goals that he didn't score, like he scored early. He didn't score later, right? There was a few games before he went off on IR that he just didn't score. And so that 9 and 19.
Really? He's only gone 3 goals. He's only gone through the longest stretch he's gone without a goal is 3 games.
Right.
Like that's not.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Like this idea that Matthews has been on a drought and he's been struggling. He's been consistent.
Well, actually, okay, so it's 4, and that's from it's the Rangers, Lightning, Blue Jackets, St. Louis week. He didn't score.
Oh
no, I'm wrong.
No,
I'm wrong. Those are assists.
You're wrong. I'm looking.
Those
at
are
his,
assists.
I'm looking at his game log, and we can pull it up right now. There's a 3-game stretch to start the season, and then there's a 3-game stretch here where he was injured for multiple weeks in between the stretch.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know.
Where is this coming from?
Yeah, I think it's like I just don't understand. For me, I don't understand what people expect from players when they get back from injury. Like Matthews had 2 assists in that first game back and has scored 4 goals in 5 games, as Jesse rightly points out. But like, it takes them a week or 2.
I know
it does. Tavares had a bad couple weeks. Then he's been outstanding.
No, I know what it is. We're Leaf fans, and we're broken and damaged, and we assume the worst.
Right.
We assume he's broken and he'll never be back. He'll never be back to what he was. We've already seen the best of it. It's over. That's how we're wired.
When I would say the best would probably yet to come with him.
I mean, it doesn't help that they're like, he's day to day on IR in Germany. He'll be back tonight. He'll be back next week. He's back.
Well, because they didn't know.
Yeah, but like that screws with people.
Okay. Well,
That screws with an already skittish fan base.
Can I give you the final stat to
give it to us?
Cap it off. During that 5-game stretch where he has 4 goals, he's shooting 19%.
Which is about
that is a point percentage off of what he shot last year, where he scored 69 goals.
And what he shoot before that, I think it was like 10.
Yeah, like overall on the season, he's shooting 11%,
which is way down.
Which is awful for Austin
Brutal
Matthews, which would be the lowest mark of his entire career. But since he's come back from injury, he's shooting 19%, which is otherworldly generational shooting percentage. So I think he's fine here, guys.
No.
I'd be curious what.
No.
I don't know. The numbers back up that he's fine.
Yeah.
I'd be curious what, and I don't know what websites track this, like true shooting percentage is. Because shooting percentage is just the percentage of the shots on goal you take that go in. but the shots you miss don't count towards your shooting percentage, which is insane because you shot the puck and missed the net. Mm-hmm. And so if you shoot 10 shots in a game, one of them hits the net and goes in, you shot 100%. That's stupid. That doesn't make any sense. You shot 10.
That's
It's very true.
yeah.
I'd be curious what his real shot percentage is.
From game-winning goals to spectacular saves, BetMGM gives you the chance to take those highlight reel plays to a whole new level. Now, here's what I want to know very quickly, guys.
Was that Key and Peele? A whole never level. Is that Key and Peele or is that SNL? I forget.
I don't know. But
I think it sounds like him.
the question I have is the Leafs are playing the Ducks tomorrow night. They've had 5 pretty mediocre to bad games in a row, last night being particularly bad. Do you bet on them getting it right and having a get-right game against the Ducks and Jake Trouba?
That sure feels like a wake-up call game that they just had against the Devils, but they're probably, we don't know this for sure, but probably going up against one of the best goalies in the league, one of the most underrated goalies in the league, and Lucas Dostal, who is also going to want to get vengeance over the Leafs for last year when he had a gem against them and they won anyway, and then the next game the Leafs killed the Ducks. I think it's going to be a feisty one.
Jesse?
The Leafs have a history of not showing up against the Ducks. Usually it's on the West Coast swing when they go out there.
True.
And they melt down completely because they flew out to the other side of the country. But this feels like a win, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they crashed and burned. So I'm in the middle here.
There you go. All right. So listen, with BetMGM, whatever side you on, BetMGM is not only the official sports betting partner of the NHL in Canada, they're also the king of sportsbooks. BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. Must be 19 years of age or older to wager. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you have any questions or concerns about your gambling or someone close to you, please contact Connects Ontario 1-866-531-2600 to speak to an advisor free of charge. BetMGM operates pursuant to an operating agreement with iGaming Ontario. Usually I end the ad with this, but I'm going to start with it. 20% off at Doer.
Oh,
For your jeans. Okay, we'll explain why these are great. If you've never seen us talk about Doer before, I just want you to know if you go to shopduer.com/STP, you can get 20% off your first purchase, which is just in time for the holidays. And Doer are not fast fashion. They're slow fashion. They're using great materials that actually breathe. And where possible, they use recycled materials and plant-based fibers for natural breathability, softness, and moisture absorption. And as a sweaty guy, I thank them.
so slow fashion just means it lasts a long time.
Yeah, it means that when you buy it, you should expect it to be around in several months, unlike some of the stuff we're buying these days, right?
Yes.
I saw a stat the other day that said, we have enough clothes on Earth now to clothe the next 4 generations. That's how bad the fast fashion problem has gotten. Yes. Isn't that crazy?
That's a lot of generations.
That's a lot of generations. And this is why we need to get back to buying quality.
350 years.
And isn't that nuts, dude? It's crazy. That's why we got to buy quality, Doer's quality, and you should try it. You can check out their flagship stores in Canada or the United States, or shop online at shopdoer.com/STP. Again, it's shopduer.com/STP to get 20% off your first purchase. 20% off, shopdoer.com/STP. So for the Devils side, that's a good team. Now, Sheldon Keefe called Anthony Stolarz the best goalie in the league. And one of the questions I got to start the game was, hey, what's it going to take for Anthony Stolarz to get in the Vezina conversation? Now, the Vezina conversation is interesting because it's the 32 GMs that vote on it. It's reputational. I think if a goalie wins a Vezina, it's because they've had a good 3-year stretch. It's not because they had one good year. Whereas Jack Adams, it's wow, your team really surprised everybody. You get it. Next year you're fired, right? It's that sort of thing. I think Vezina is it's a tracking over 2 to 3 years. It's a reputation based award. A lot of these GMs are not watching a ton of out of market hockey. They're just not.
No.
And so it's weird that they're voting on it, but they are. So
you have to have such an otherworldly single season to not be in the Vezina conversation the year before.
Yes.
And then jump into it. Something like Tim Thomas.
Or Jim the Net Detective Carey.
Jim the Net Detective Carey.
And I think when you look at Stolarz, you got to have headline grabbing stuff. And last night, I could see those box scores being shared around the league. I could see executives going, man, did you see that? That was crazy.
Dude, played 27 games last year, 925. He's played 16 games this year, 928. Like, how long does he need to keep this up for that to just be what he is? I mean, I don't know if anyone is a consistent 925 anymore.
It'd be nice if there was.
In 2024,
nice if it was
but I'm looking, and he's actually better than that. So, dude, he's nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, who is the best free agent signing they've made in the last 10 years?
Free agent signing?
Like, is there an argument
Tavares.
that they're both? Oh, right. Okay, so since Tavares,
Okay.
I think they might both be on the team right now, like in Tanev and Stolarz.
Yeah. And if you don't count Tavares, I'd put OEL in there too. He's been amazing.
Like, he's got to be up there. Like, who? I'm trying to think of like dudes up front.
They signed a lot of guys on like piddly little contracts at the end of their careers, like your Joe Thorntons and your
Bunting was pretty good.
Because they haven't.
Bunting was a great
They
sign.
haven't
Yeah.
been like the need hasn't been to build through free agency.
Yeah.
You know, they had their 4 guys and they've just been
And that was it.
filtering out the pieces around. So that makes a lot of sense that it's Tavares.
It does, but since him, like, Jesus, like, yeah, Stolarz has to be. How many games do you have to play? And for him to, like, I know he's splitting the net with Wool. That doesn't disqualify you because a few years ago, if I remember correctly, 2 of the goalies nominated for Vezina out of 3 split the net. It was the year Robin Lehner was nominated.
I mean, Elmark and fucking Swayman.
Oh, that's right. Were either of them nominated, though? I thought they finished 6th and 7th.
Well, Allmark won the Vezina in 2023.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he didn't split the net with Swayman. He played most of the games.
Let's check.
Yeah,
See,
he
what
split
the
it last
split
year
was.
for sure. Let's see.
In 2023, the Vezina Trophy year, Allmark started 48 games.
Oh,
That's very split.
yes, it is. Wow,
That's,
that's a lot less than I
7
thought.
off of an exact split.
Damn.
That's
So
Yeah.
if you play, so basically you can get nominated for the Vezina and even win it in the 40s if your numbers are good enough. I mean,
Linus
Stolarz
Ullmark did
is exactly on track to do that.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
when was the last team to have 2 guys nominated for the Vezina same year?
Allmark and Swayman.
Were they both?
Oh, you mean like top 3 nominated?
Yes, yes.
Oh, no. They weren't top 3.
I don't
been
think
a while.
Wool's going to get there, but like, yeah, no, Stolarz is. Who would you rather have right now? Who would you rather have? Mm-hmm. It's not a long list.
And that's with Joseph Wall coming off of just recently ended a 6-game winning streak.
Okay, so to go back to the Leafs play better in front of Wool, out of the 10 games that Wool's played, the Leafs have only been outshot in 3 of them. 2 of those games were because of score effects. One of them was a 3-0 win. Another was the 5-3 win over Tampa where they were up like crazy on Tampa and then Tampa started to come back. And then the game against Pittsburgh was the first game this season with Wool and net where the Leafs were outshot and lost. The first game all season long. They've given up 30 shots or more with Wool and net twice. They've done it with Stolarz 6 or 7 times.
Do you think they missed Jake McCabe?
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of important, isn't he?
The first goal, the only goal that the Devils got, like, I like Philippe Myers, I do. But I'm looking at that going, I wonder if someone else gets there. Mm-hmm. You know who's losing their shine a little bit? Connor Timmins.
I didn't mind his play last night. He made some good defensive plays.
No, once a game, Connor Timmins gets beat off the rush.
He
right?
had a bad one.
Oh, he got turnstile. yeah, he did.
I don't remember who it was.
Every single game, at least once, he gets absolutely cooked.
Yeah,
And
McCabe,
it's like they have so many defensemen that like it's unnecessary to have somebody in the lineup who that happens to.
get McCabe in there, and then it'd be nice to get Hakanpää in there as well. I mean, it changes completely, but McCabe and Tanev were, by the metrics, like a top 3 shutdown pair in the league. Yeah, you missed that actually.
Yeah.
When that goes away, Morgan Riley. Like I've seen some criticism of him recently. He's playing with the Leafs' 8th defenseman as his partner.
Yeah.
Maybe 9th.
I also want to say I would love to get an update on Hakanpää's knee because he was selected.
He just had a procedure
to Team Finland, and Henri Jokiharju is the only Finnish defenseman in the NHL who was not selected to Team Finland.
Oh wow!
And Hakanpää's barely played.
I don't want to do this because like getting to represent your country is a very special thing. But I can't help but look at him and go, hey, what if you didn't?
Yeah.
Take the time off.
What if you didn't?
Yeah, that would be great.
You know how you didn't start the season and then you played a few games and then you got injured and had a procedure and now you're still out and you're going to play extra? Are you sure? Don't think you are. Please don't. Yanni. I don't love that.
Well,
but I'm never going to tell a player not to play for their country.
Steve, to answer some of your Vezina questions, the 23 season when Allmark won, Swayman did not receive a Vezina vote, so he wasn't in the voting. But last season, they were both within the top 8. They both received some sort of vote, so that's kind of fun. I can't find an instance where 2 goaltenders from the same team were within the top 3, but there have been shared Vezinas amongst goaltenders on the same team.
Years and years.
Yeah,
years
like
ago.
the Montreal Canadiens, 3 goalies won the Vezina in 1980, 90,
Oh, wow.
1981.
All right.
So there you go.
and I don't even know who any of those
goalies.
guys are.
Yeah. Buffalo Sabres, they kind of split. So it used to be kind of more like a tandem award, as you can see on the NHL site back in the late 70s, early 80s. But I can't find any top. I don't think there's been a top 3 where like the tandem, one gets the first place and one gets like third or something like that.
Well, the first year the NHL website even shows a finalist was what, 1982?
In terms of the runners up here?
Yeah.
Or like the third place voting?
Yeah.
Yeah, the third place voting came in 1982.
Okay.
Yeah.
Murray Bannerman.
There's a lot of names I'm not familiar with.
Ronald Mellon.
It kind of shows you how volatile goaltending is, where guys can just have like a hot year and receive a whole bunch of Vezina votes and then never really do anything ever again.
I research like a crazy person when it comes to hockey, especially for the book, especially for goalies. And for there to still be names on that list where I'm like, I've never heard of you in my entire life is something. That's cool.
Like your hockey player, top 3 goaltender in the league at that point, and you're like, I don't even know that name.
At one point, you were a top 3 goalie in the world.
Yeah.
Never heard of you.
Most surprising Vezina nominee from the last 5 years, Adam and Steve, taking a look at the Vezina winners and nominees, if you want to throw it on the screen, Maddie. Which one would you say is the most surprising name amongst, let's go from 2019 onwards, or 2020 onwards, whichever one you want.
I would probably say, 2020 onwards, because I'd say 2019 Robin Leonard.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a surprise with the Islanders.
Well, because he was coming off some real rough years, and then he went to the island and was instantly unfriggin' beatable.
I would say Philip Grubauer.
Oh, Jesus, Philip Grubauer, yeah.
Philip Grubauer for me.
Dude, he's
in
unplayable.
Colorado in 21. Yeah, third place Vezina.
He's unplayable.
Wow. Yeah, I guess like amongst all the other names, you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I thought Georgiev might have gone on there just because he has so many wins. It's got to be Grubauer.
And people forget how good Ben Bishop was that year in 18-19 for the Stars. He was great.
He had a great career, man.
Yeah, he did.
It's funny to look at Carey Price on this list and realize he only had the one victory and then one third place. And that's it.
Wow.
From his entire career.
Because he's overrated.
Oh my God.
No, this is...
Do you actually believe that?
No, of course
okay,
not.
okay.
I'm just giving...
I don't know. I thought you might have had a take about
No,
Carey
I don't
Price.
have a take about
You've
Carey
been holding back.
I love getting under Habs fans again.
Okay.
Carey Price...
Overrated.
He's one of those... I'm skipping over that so you don't get killed.
Yeah.
Carey Price is...
Bad.
Is one of those... Adam, we're all going to die.
Yeah. I don't support this.
No, that is Adam. Can you please put the camera on Adam while he's there you go. Thank you. So keeping the camera on Adam, Carey Price
Doesn't like Quebec.
Oh my God.
Lives in BC now. Well, I guess you have your
he's
answer.
why you can't just go by awards.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
But like for me, I love because awards should show you the history of the league. Like that's why like something like Taylor Hall's Hart Trophy win, I'll never get over that. That should have been Nathan McKinnon's. And when you look at the awards, it should give you like a snapshot of that time. And when I look at the Vezina Trophy voting, I know how good Carey Price was. And to see his name up there once for a win and then one time for a third place vote, and then that's it. It kind of shocks me.
This is one of the most egregious ones. Scroll down to I think it was 96 when Jim Carey won. So click on him and click on his stats.
Okay. Oh, there you go.
Oh God, it takes you to an entirely different page. That's brutal. For that season, he had a 35, 24, and 9 record. He was very good.
Where am I looking?
906 save
Oh, there
percentage.
we go. Yeah.
906. That's the best goalie in the world. He was literally a better goalie the year before. And then he completely turned into a pumpkin. Go to just Hockey DB Dominic Hasek, so we could look at his 95, 96 numbers. He wasn't even nominated for the Vezina, I don't believe. I think it was Osgood and someone else.
I just pulled it up on NHL.
95, 96,
Yeah.
22, 30, and 6. Granted, that's not a great record. 920.
Oh,
Robbed.
that's ridiculous.
Consecutively, he had 930, 930, 920, 930, 932, 937, 919, 921, 915. Maniac!
Why did Jim Carrey get it?
I don't know.
It's a good question. I think
I
there
guess
was
the record, right?
Jesse, I think yes, that's part of it.
Games under 500.
You have to remember too that you're probably within a decade of Soviet bloc players coming over to the NHL, and there being a huge resistance to it. Guys from Czechia, back then Czech Republic, guys from Russia, and you had Don Cherry on Saturday nights going. Even that French Canadians were soft, right? Like sweet. Oh, forget Europeans.
So okay,
French Canadians, were
Europeans soft, French Canadians soft, North Americans with a visor soft.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
It was a different time, and I think
There's like
there was
40
a
non-soft guys.
there was a thing against Hasek because he wasn't a North American. There was, and he proved them all wrong because he was the best of them. So. He was the best one.
It wrecks a streak of he won the Vezina in 94. He won the Vezina in 95. He won the Vezina in 97. He won the Vezina in 98. He won the Vezina in 99. He won the Vezina in 2001. So he should have had a streak from 94 to 99.
Yep.
He didn't even finish in second in voting, though. Like, he wasn't even amongst the top 3. It
Yes.
was Chris Osgood.
So, click
And
on
Darren
Chris
Pupa.
Osgood.
yeah, I had
Darren Pupa.
Darren Pupa.
The other finalist.
Chris Osgood. Oh, hold on. That's not.
You could argue Osgood should have won it.
That's Hasek. Where's Osgood?
Shouldn't have been Jim Carey.
There you go. 95, 96. Osgood was 39 and 6.
39, 6, and 5.
Am I looking at the right year? 95, 96.
Yeah,
right?
that was the record-setting Red Wings year where they had the most points ever in the NHL.
With a 9/11
Chris
save percentage.
Osgood win.
because
It should 100%. Yeah. Like, I'm saying Hasek because
that
it
team
would have
was-
been fun. But, like, the real winner is clearly Chris
the
Osgood.
team was also the Monstars. Like that was the Detroit Red Wings
Gives a
not
shit.
winning the
Care?
cup that year was
So were the
crazy.
Bruins when
Dude, the guy
Omar
had
won
a
it.
902.
They didn't lose. They did not lose hockey games.
That's got to be the lowest save percentage to ever win the Vezina.
80s existed.
Yeah, the 80s.
yeah.
I bet. Yeah, you could win with like an 899.
Probably
in the 80s.
sub 900 guy.
Yeah,
I should look that up.
yeah. That's actually
Other
kind of funny.
time,
That'd be-
the lowest save percentages to ever win the Vezina. 'Cause that's egregious. Holy cow.
That was
you
such
know-
a dude tangent we just went on.
When you go
What were
back
we
and
even talking about?
When you look at
You were talking about Stolarz winning the Vezina.
oh yeah.
when you go back and you look at the awards, though, like there are certain awards I don't think they took them very seriously until the 90s.
You can tell when there was like a shift to like, oh, we should probably take this voting thing seriously.
You know what I
we have an
think-
importance to the history of the game.
You know what I think sort
No.
of changed that was the Jose Theodore Jerome McGinley controversy.
Yeah.
Because
That
McGinley
was a
was
big one.
left off a friggin' ballot altogether, which is
So was
unforgivable.
Theodore though.
Oh, was
That's what's a little not talked about a lot is he was also left off a ballot.
I don't think there's justification for either.
Yeah. It went both ways.
Okay.
You know?
So we got the Board of Governors meetings happening in Florida. And, as we sort of mentioned yesterday, and we've been talking about for weeks, despite Gary Bettman saying there have been no discussions about the salary cap going up more than the 5%, yesterday there officially was discussions about the salary cap going up 5%. And it was funny watching the insiders talk about it on TSN because Pierre LeBrun's like, well, there's two... I think it was Pierre LeBrun who was like, there's two things that they could do here. They could leave it, and they could have a huge pop in a year, or they can have a controlled escalator that brings it up to the 97 million or more that Elliot Friedman originally reported. Now, hard to know which way they're going to go, but there are some negotiations in the next couple years, and usually they set the cap now. So the fact that they haven't set the cap now because they have to negotiate, we're probably not going to know what this cap is until the new CBA is announced in June.
This is like for everyone, like, why hasn't my team signed X player? I'm sure this is an enormous factor.
They're all waiting. Nyes is waiting. Marner's waiting.
Oh, yeah.
And here's the big one.
All of them.
Kaprizov.
Oh, yeah.
He's waiting. And actually it was LeBrun that mentioned Craig Leopold that, is like, hey, would be really good to know so we can start talking to him.
With that in mind, it's somewhat surprising that Shesterkin signed.
I think Shesterkin got primo dollar. I think he's good. And you get to stay in New York.
If everyone's waiting, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think if you're him, you got $11.5 million for the next 8 years. It's the biggest goalie contract ever. Nobody can give you more than 7 years other than the Rangers.
He did okay.
I think he's okay.
Yeah.
I think he's okay.
He did fine.
Also, they're rich and they can front load it, and I don't even know. I haven't even checked if they have. But it dovetails perfectly with the serious CBA negotiations, which are due to begin, surprisingly, in February during the Four Nations Cup, when the NHL and NHLPA are hosting that together. Now, this is very promising. It's something that when you run a business like this, you kind of go, if there's a work stoppage, we would keep going because we went through the last work stoppage, but it would be extremely painful.
We'd play a lot of video games.
Yeah, it'd be very, very painful. And I don't think anybody wants that. League revenues are up, salaries are going up. Why would you interrupt that? And we don't fully know what the pain points are going to be yet, but it seems like both sides are feeling good about things right now.
That's good.
And that they think they can get it done maybe before or just after the Stanley Cup is awarded.
I like that. Okay.
So we like that. That's good.
We're comfortable. Feeling comfy.
The next thing they wanted to talk about was the schedule. Now, you guys have heard, and this will be a part of the CBA negotiations, that they want to move the schedule to 84 games. And, Gary Bettman was interviewed about it yesterday, and he very quickly said, well, if we started in August, we could award it in May. And he's like, I'm being ridiculous.
Yes.
But I don't think anybody would argue. 2 seasons ago, not 2 seasons, last season, the NHL didn't start till after Canadian Thanksgiving, which was stupid because you have a whole bunch of people with their families wanting sports to watch on Thanksgiving in Canada, and you don't have any games. So they started a week early this year. And how crazy was that? The ratings were fantastic. So then the question becomes, okay, you want to add 2 more games to this? And I think probably everybody's okay with it because those 2 games, likely there will be players sitting for some of them, especially at the end of the season, but it's extra revenue. People will make more money. Everybody's happy.
It's 2.
It's 2 games. The question becomes, and this is where Gary gets annoying to listen to.
Oh, yeah?
They're like, hey,
This is where,
Gary, having the Stanley Cup awarded on June 24th is not ideal. And Gary goes, well, if we could start in August, and he's like, well, we're not going to do that. The very simple solution is October 1st is the first NHL game.
Yep. October 1st.
Games start in October.
October 1.
I don't know why. It's so funny with these big organizations, why it takes so long to get to that point. And also, training camp doesn't need to be 3 weeks. It doesn't.
It is. There has been an 82-game season since like 1995?
Yeah, and before that, it was 84 for a couple years.
Yeah. But it's never ended as late as it's ending. And COVID is not an excuse anymore. I don't know why last year ran so long. What are we doing? Olympics or Four Nations. Like, we've had all that before, and it was fine. It didn't go this late. What's going on? The drop dead date to me used to be June 15th. And that's like if the cup final goes 7 games.
Yeah. But there have been times, guys, you guys remember, between the conference finals and the finals where they've taken like 4 or 5 days off.
Which,
Like, no. It's the playoffs. No. You're losing the momentum.
what about, okay, so I agree with that. What about the thought that it's better for the players, which is better for the product?
I will listen to when it was Edmonton, Florida in the finals, the furthest possible distance you could possibly be.
Yeah, but it's always...
And they built in an extra day for travel.
Yeah.
I listen to that. 5 days between a conference final and a final? No.
Most of the teams in the East are on the coast. Most of the teams in the West are on the coast. It's always going to be coast to coast. You know,
So don't make it 5 days in between. That's not what the playoffs are. That's not what they've ever been. Like, listen, I understand, it's better for the playoffs. I get all that, but like, this is the Stanley Cup and this is how that tournament works.
get a faster plane.
Well, yeah, sure. Do
You
that.
invest in a faster plane.
Yeah. All of the billionaires have one.
Yeah.
So I don't know. For me, that is the kind of thing that drives me nuts. It's like, guys, like you could have started this a week early. You could have done that. You could have cleaned this up. And they're like, well, no, we've already put it down. We can't change things now, and they can. So that's happening. And so there seems to be like some significant things being talked about. And then the next question that the insiders brought up is, could the NHL be looking to expand beyond North America? What does the global game look like? And what bothers me...
Like a franchise?
Well, you can make the argument that you could put the NHL in Europe, assuming that people would go to it, and have a division there. And they don't come over often, but... you run it like you run the Champions League, right? Everybody's got their own play-in, and then they have a tournament and whatever. You can do that. I don't know how it exactly looks. Don't ask me. It's not my effing job.
It's
But
interesting. It's an interesting idea.
What's clear, though, is they've done a bad job expanding the brand overseas.
Yeah.
And so that is a priority for them now.
Well, so I remember I think it was yesterday, said it'd be cool to have an outdoor game in Europe. And then I started thinking about it. I'm like, well, last year in Sweden, it was a small arena. And here it was like, what's the average attendance for these global series games?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Like, how many European markets even have like an NHL size rink?
I don't think that's what matters, though.
No?
Who cares how many people? If
Well, if you're expanding there, you might as well make money.
Okay, well, yes. If you're expanding there, so if you're talking about, like them going over and playing the global series, I don't think it matters. Right. Like if you're playing, what's that barn in the Swiss league that's like all wood and it's beautiful? Isn't that Zurich?
Yeah, I can't remember. I know what you're talking.
It's beautiful, right? It's
beautiful.
gorgeous. And there's not 20,000 people in there. There's probably 10,000 or maybe 5. I don't know. But it's a gorgeous barn and whatever. Seeing a game in that's what makes it special. NHL team that in barn that you've never seen them play in. Cool, right? If you're going to bring actual NHL franchises to Europe, you're going to build an arena.
Right.
It's Seattle built an arena, Vegas built an arena, Atlanta and Houston will build arenas. If you're getting a franchise, you're building an arena.
It's a really cool idea. It just feels so far away. Like not distance. Like in terms of doability.
They can turn these buildings around pretty quickly these days.
Is doability a word?
The other one I want to know more about is Mexico, and that's not expanding beyond North America. That's just North America. But Mexico City feels like it could support an NBA team, an MLB team, it could do all of them.
For Canadians anyway, like Mexico City's unfathomably big. It's huge.
30 million people.
It's crazy. It's most of Canada.
You could sell out a game in a market like that.
Probably.
And imagine Mexican culture and Mexican fandom. And if you've watched CONCACAF and you see the way they react to their soccer teams, bringing that to hockey, that would be amazing.
It wouldn't be so bad. I mean, these are all very cool things that I would like to have happen one day. But they've kind of come out of nowhere, haven't they?
What do you mean?
Well, I feel like we've been talking about like Houston and Kansas and Quebec for so long.
Mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden, oh yeah, Europe and Mexico. Like, where did that come from?
Well, because I think there's more money in those markets. Like, is there more money in Mexico City or Kansas?
I'm gonna assume Mexico City.
Mm-hmm. And the Mexican economy is on the rise. Mm-hmm. It's doing significantly better than it was, say, 20 years ago.
I
And
don't know enough about it.
well, it is. It just is. And assuming that there's not a trade war, like that makes a ton of sense for a market on the rise. There's a lot of money in Europe too. Mm-hmm. And the NHL's job is to make money.
Oh yeah, there's people and money.
Yeah.
In those places. It just feels like they've sort of dropped this on us out of nowhere.
Well, I think the brand ambassadorship is going to start now. Like, I think they're going to try to start to, how do we get on Europeans' radars
It just feels like
and
you're
drum up interest?
I agree with that as a strategy. It just feels like you're a decade away from that
Could be.
being realistic.
And could be it. Maybe it is.
Yeah.
Got a plan.
I hope Gary Bettman is not the commissioner.
Why do you hope that?
Because he's 72.
Right.
And also relevant. It's okay to be 72, but he's Gary Bettman, and I'm quite sick of him. Mm-hmm. And go to a beach.
The last thing from the insiders down
That or
there.
he could run the Islanders.
The NBA this week, there was a report out that they are in serious discussions about starting a Europe version of the NBA that they would own. So there's a giant league who's looking into international expansion and not just like putting teams over there, just starting like their own NBA except in Europe, and who knows where that would go from there.
And the NFL did this 20 years ago, 25 years ago. Like Kurt Warner
It
was a
sucks.
QB in NFL Europe.
He's arena football, was he not?
Oh, was he arena football? Oh,
Yeah.
I thought he played NFL Europe too. Maybe I'm
Maybe
wrong.
two, but
Yeah.
I know he comes from arena football for sure.
Yeah. So like,
How'd it go?
well, I don't think it was. I think the right idea at the wrong time because there wasn't the reach. Like you can't. Back then, you couldn't watch games in Europe.
Can I
right?
ask you a really stupid question?
Sure.
Are commercial airliners getting faster?
No, they're about the same.
Okay.
They had that. What was that jet that they could fly across like Europe to America in like 3 hours or 2.5 hours?
That weird. It had like the long nose.
Yeah. That Air
They
France.
They don't fly that anymore.
No,
right?
because they're too expensive to maintain. So
the trip to London's a lot easier than you'd think, isn't it? Like 5.
yeah, it's nothing.
Yeah.
It's 5 hours.
6 or 7? No.
It's 5 hours.
From here?
Yeah.
No, it is not. No, it is not.
No. Now, are you flying to Heathrow or are you flying to Aberdeen International
There are
or Edinburgh or Glasgow?
I don't know if I've ever flown direct to I usually fly into either Heathrow or Glasgow,
Really?
and then either fly from Heathrow to Aberdeen or take the train from Glasgow.
Oh, see, the train would be so much.
It's a really pretty ride.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. But no, it's longer than 5.
7:15.
7:15.
There you go.
There you go.
So maybe
but
there'd be a reason. Now.
The 7:15 like is not crazy in terms of like you play in Vancouver and you got a series in Florida.
I know. I don't know. It literally ended John Klingberg's career. the flight. It did. He has not played.
I think that's,
he had a
I think
career
that's
end.
one circumstantial
He had a bad
story.
hit.
We all
about
watched him play.
an NHL defenseman.
We watched him play in a game against Vancouver. The next game was in Sweden. We watched his last NHL game.
Okay. Yeah.
We saw it in person.
Yeah. Maybe the Leafs could have checked in on that hit before they signed him.
Yeah, no, they probably.
Vancouver to Miami is 6 hours and 10 minutes.
Holy shit.
So there you go.
Yeah, okay, so it's not that much different.
Yeah, but like
The world's so big.
we're there's a million different conversations going on there. Global expansion makes sense just because of all the other leagues are doing it. You know, the NFL plays games in Europe consistently week after week throughout the beginning of their regular season. Like teams go over there and they play a game, and then they come back and they play games here. So, and the NHL with their global series is this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to build fan bases all around the world, and like them doing the games in Australia a couple of years ago, the preseason games. That was really smart, really cool thing they did. And this is just the direction we're going down. The world is shrinking because of technology. So it makes sense for them to continue to try to build up fan bases in these markets. So you're not just trying to tap out the North American market. You're trying to expand into the European market and the Asian market, you know?
Yep.
Makes sense.
It makes sense. I'm just sitting here with my little brain going, I wish planes were quicker.
Yeah.
And like,
No,
it would definitely
honestly,
help.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it would help for sure. It'd help everything if planes were quicker. But the world is also smaller.
Yeah. These like billion-dollar teams, like I know those
I just don't
planes
think
are
that they'd be
expensive.
playing
Could they
each
not
other that
buy
much.
one?
I don't think they'd be playing each other that much. I think you'd have that the Europe games would be the Europe games and the North American games, and then it's like if there is intercontinental play, it's for like a higher end tournament. Like, hey, we've sent our 4 best over to go against your 4 best.
Yeah.
For the Stanley Cup.
Or
We
you
change
come
up the
over
tournament.
here for a month and you play some division games against whatever teams for a month here, and then you get a 5-day break and you go back home. You know?
Yeah.
They can work out. The scheduling stuff, that's not concerning.
do it.
They do it in
It's like-
soccer all the time. It's not. It's like,
Yeah.
we have a basis for this.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, isn't it like within Europe though?
Yeah.
No, they come over. They'll play games. They'll play exhibition games.
What was
over here.
which one of the women's league that started way before had a team in China?
That was the
NWS.
the Kunlun Red Star.
Yeah, they went over there. They played a bunch of games, and then they came here and played games.
The pandemic kind of put a stop to that pretty quick.
Right.
Yeah.
But like it's a thing. I'm not concerned about that part. The part that is like the interesting thing to me is like, can they do it? Can they? Because we've seen leagues try these kinds of things, and like NFL Europe, like Adam brought up, that was just too early. You know, they tried that through the 90s, and it failed because technology wasn't at that point, society wasn't at that point. So if the NHL was like, okay, we're gonna start a Div 2, we're gonna start our own AHL version, except it'll be in Europe. Does it last more than 5 years? Or does it fold at that point?
Right.
You know, or are we at the point where that thing can thrive? Like that's what I'd be interested to see, because I think it's definitely something you can try at this point.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Good
So the holiday season is really oftentimes a trip down memory lane. It's a return to feeling the way that you did when you were a kid and the holidays rolled in and that's all you could think about. And December was the longest month until December 25th, and that was the quickest day.
December used to be like 65 days.
Yes, it did. It did. Now, Storyworth is something you should check out. It makes a great gift. And what's great about Storyworth is it sends your loved ones thought-provoking questions like, hey, what's the bravest thing you've ever done? How did you get used to school every day? What's the farthest you've ever traveled? Anything about your family member that maybe you just wouldn't ask them, because if you asked them, you'd be like, hey, so what's the furthest you've ever traveled? And they'll go, why are you asking that? But sometimes you want to know the answer to that, because especially with the older members of our family, we've only got so much time. And how many times have you sat around the dinner table going, I wish I could ask my grandfather that?
Yeah.
I wish I was more curious when I was younger.
Yes, exactly. Families love Storyworth. That's why it has 35,000 5-star reviews. After a year of fun, Storyworth compiles all your loved ones' stories and photos into a beautiful keepsake hardcover book, a physical
That's the coolest
copy.
part, is that this isn't like a digital thing. Storyworth's not like, hey, you get it in an app. Like, they're like, no, we send you a book.
Yes.
Like, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool.
So with Storyworth, you're giving a thoughtful, personal gift from the heart, preserving memories and stories for years to come. And if you go to Storyworth, STORY, Worth, WORTH, .com/SDP, you save $10 on your first purchase. That's storyworth.com/SDP to save $10 on your first purchase. Okay, now one thing I do want to mention is the entire Atlantic Division. Actually, most of the league.
Are you done with the Board of Governors?
Yeah. The Amazon thing? Do you want me to bring up the Amazon thing?
No, one thing that we've talked about for years on this podcast is the executive committee of the NHL. And Monday, the executive committee met to talk ahead of the Board of Governors. And it consists now of one chairman. Do you guys who know the chairman?
Jeremy Jacobs or his kid?
Jeremy Jacobs, or
Okay.
his child. It is Jeremy Jacobs at this point right now, even though he's kind of relinquished power to his children.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's the...
No, he hasn't.
No, he hasn't.
No, he
He's
hasn't.
the chairman of the board, and then there's 9 teams who get representatives on the exclusiver Board of Governors meeting in the executive committee.
Do you want us to name them?
Do you guys want to play a little game?
Yes.
Okay. If you get 3 incorrect guesses, you lose. So
Okay.
3 strikes and you're out.
Okay. Danny Wirtz
Danny Wirtz for sure.
with the Blackhawks.
Wrong.
Wrong.
Okay, to clarify, and this isn't a guess, the Blackhawks are not on there at all?
They are not.
Wow. That's new.
Yep.
They used to be.
I think the Leafs must be on it.
I think they are now.
That's correct.
Yeah. They weren't up until a couple of years ago.
8 more.
Jeff Molson?
Correct.
Oh man, I was
Stinker.
scared.
7 more.
Um,
Not James Dolan, I don't think.
I'm gonna say I'm definitely not James
No.
Dolan. No, Bill Foley feels like a guy.
I was going to say, yeah, Bill Foley with the Vegas Golden Knights.
They're too young of a franchise.
Oh, okay. So
You know?
we got to go old.
Yeah, they're too young.
Who's tight? With
That's 2
G-bets? Too tight with G bets.
You think Illich? I don't know why I talked off mic.
Illich family.
Yeah, Illich?
Yeah, you guys have a secret
Mike,
meeting.
I
over
don't
there.
know what the involvement, because Mike passed, right? So I don't know who what the involvement of the rest of the family is now. Because sometimes, and I definitely don't think the Pagulas are. You have to have like teams that are like what was the family that controlled the Flyers before Comcast did?
Oh, for God's sake. I know who.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Him and Jeremy Jacobs were like the two, the two old men who were like, get off my lawn.
Yes.
And
I can't remember.
And they have now since sold out of that team a little
Yeah,
bit.
it's
So it's not that family anymore. But
Yeah, you're thinking of the Snyder family.
yes,
Snyder.
Snyder.
Yeah.
Yes. Man, I got to think there's got to be some West Coast on this. Like,
There's going to be, I want to see, there's a weird team like the Blues.
yeah.
I don't know.
All right, go ahead.
What?
No, okay. I want to guess.
What's your guess?
Okay, do we want to go Blues or Red Wings?
Definitely not Red Wings.
No?
And that you got to listen to Adam on this one.
Yeah, definitely not Red Wings. The family's just not as involved.
Yeah. Think of championship pedigree from the last few years.
So not Vegas, Colorado,
The Light.
the Walmart family.
Jeff Vinnick,
Yeah, there you
Oh,
the Tampa Bay
okay.
Lightning.
All right,
You got
all
a
right.
couple more. You got it.
Jeff's
guess?
not an owner anymore, though. He's just an operator who owns 5%.
Jeff Vinnick's on the executive committee.
Okay,
Yeah, he's the
that's
representative
why they want
for
him
the
in there.
Lightning.
That's why they want.
It's so interesting to see, like, Jeremy Jacobs is there, even though he doesn't.
Jeremy
really control
Jacobs.
it. And
You
Jeff
could
Vinnick's
pry that
there.
from his cold dead hands. He'll never leave the executives. I'm surprised the Wirtz family aren't. That's a shock.
Oh, no, he's not in charge anymore. It's his child. Like, what are you talking
Who's
about?
building an arena and likes yelling at mayors?
Oh, the Flames, Maloney, like the Murray Edwards.
Murray Edwards.
No way.
On the executive?
Here's what I've heard about Murray Edwards is he doesn't even live in North America anymore, and he's not that involved with the team. It's Don Maloney that's running the show.
He has controlling, like, he gets to make decisions for the NHL. Like, that's
nuts because he's
that's
not.
the role he wants.
He's like not involved in the same way that he used to be.
he wants that power. He's on it.
They tried to, influence an entire election.
And they did.
Kind of, yeah. Oh, yeah, they did.
Yeah,
I
they
was
did,
thinking
but
about the mayoral one,
It's
but
it's a good look inside of, like, who's buddies, you know?
I'm going to guess the Blues.
Blues?
Damn.
All right. So the list is chairman Jeremy Jacobs, along with owners. This is from Pierre LeBrun, by the way, in The Athletic. Calgary Flames, Murray Edwards. Winnipeg Jets, Mark Chipman.
I wondered about that.
yeah. I think 'cause he's so fucking rich.
Him
After
and-
being told to STFU by Jeremy Jacobs, really? Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I don't think Mark Chipman gets told to shut the fuck up by anybody anymore. Him and the Thompsons are so fucking rich, it's crazy. Like I'm not surprised the Jets are on there. They should be.
Yeah.
That ownership group is crazy.
Yeah,
rich.
so-
Surprising amount of Canadian representation.
So the Jets are there. Mark Chipman is their representative on the executive committee. The Minnesota Wild, and they send Craig
sense.
Leopold.
That makes sense.
The Caps,
LeBron said he up.
the Capitals, Ted Leonsis.
That makes sense.
Yeah, he's
very
involved in
involved.
everything.
Yep.
Jeff Molson of the Canadians.
That makes sense.
How about this one? The Anaheim Ducks.
No way. The
And
Samuelis?
Henry Samueli.
No
is
way.
on the executive committee. Larry Tannenbaum for the Leafs.
For not much longer.
No.
That's
For not
very
much
true.
longer. This might be his last.
The Lightning, Jeff Vinnick. And lastly, David Blitzer for the New Jersey Devils.
What?
Really?
There are some really bottom half of the league financially teams on that list.
Yeah, but
I'm
David,
pretty surprised.
It's about the personalities, right?
yeah, I guess.
David Blitzer owns like 10 or 11 teams.
Yeah.
He owns the Devils, the 76ers, Crystal Palace. He owns like a bunch of he owns Real Salt Lake. He owns like a Portuguese soccer team. He owns a La Liga soccer team. He owns a CPL team. He owns a golf team, professional golf team.
Yeah, he's the first person in human history to own equity in a team in all 4 major sports leagues.
And
He's the first guy to ever do it.
Yeah, Commanders, Guardians, 76ers, Devils. He's the chairman for Blackstone.
And MLS, so it's 5. He's the first guy to ever do 5, actually.
Yeah.
He's somebody you want involved in these things, you know?
Have a look at, so he's the CEO of chairman of Blackstone, and he runs Harris Blitzer Sports and Entertainment, and that's what Fenway Sports and Entertainment is trying to be, is Harris Blitzer. We've got an EPL team and a hockey team and
Baseball team.
a baseball team, a soccer team, and Harris Blitzer's like, great, which leagues?
Damn.
Like they own it in everything. It's crazy.
Holy shit.
And they're quiet. But what I've heard from internally from like apparently New Jersey Devils, when they have their ownership conferences, they're pretty intense. Like those guys are.
I believe it.
I want to see results.
Yeah,
they are.
I think it's not so much about when I see those names, I'm like, it's not about the franchise, it's about the dudes who own those teams.
Yeah,
want influence over the league. Damn. You know, it makes sense that Jeremy's running the show as the chairman, and you get all those other 9 guys in there. I thought that's fun stuff.
Yeah, it is. It's cool to know that.
Yeah.
It's also interesting that it changes. Now, why the executive and committee is important for people that don't know is that back in the day, Gary, the reason the Players Association won a couple of labor stoppages is because Gary had to get all 26 teams, I think at the time, on board, 21 or 26 or whatever it was, depending on each year. And Gary was like, this is hard because you're talking about billionaires. And I remember when Keith Olbermann was on Agent Provocateur, he described NHL and franchise owners as if people that they think that they invented money. When in reality, if you ask a guy like Mark Cuban, he's like, I was lucky to be born in the right decade.
Yeah.
I happened to be interested in these things and my business took off. And that's what happened. And I got lucky. And Mark Cuban will tell you, like, you can't plan to be a billionaire. You happen to luck into it. And so Gary realized with these, and they weren't billionaires at the time, but these extremely rich guys, they've got huge egos. They're hard to corral. What if I made the circle smaller and I only needed the executive committee's decision, and that was good enough for the rest of the league? So the executive committee exists solely to agree on something, or at least agree enough that Gary gets 6 votes out of 10 so that the rest of the league has to follow suit. And if you want to make decisions in the NHL and you're an owner, sorry if you're not on the executive committee, you're out of luck.
Yeah, and it used to be a lot smaller, and
Yeah.
now it's 10 guys.
Yeah, because it was 6, but I think they grow it based on the percentage of teams in the league. Am I wrong?
I guess
on that?
so. Yeah,
It's like it's got to be a third of the teams or something.
But you got to imagine, like, it's like the popular kids in high school.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they came together and they're going to make a decision, then they're going to go tell everybody else.
Yes, on Wednesdays we wear pink. Like, honestly.
It's the fascinating stuff about like how this league is actually run.
Apparently Amazon smashed their numbers on that Face-Off series where I guess the owners were shown the one with Nylander and basically the drive to survive of hockey.
No surprise.
And it's looking like a second season will come.
They did a really good job. We've begged for this for years. It's finally here, and it did well.
Yeah,
Your fans are not stupid.
they love it.
Yes.
They love it. So good for them. Happy for them.
Hooray.
I do want to mention the world is healing because the Bruins are losing. They lost 8-1 last night.
I was so bothered by the fact they were 1 point behind the Leafs.
Yeah. So the Bruins
Real
lost.
stoked that grew yesterday.
The Jets have 21 wins already this year. Surprisingly, 9 losses. But the Winnipeg Jets beat them 8-1. And Marchand said, our practices have been sloppy, and that's getting into the games. Ooh. And that was what he was saying pre-Montgomery firing. So my question is going to be for this Bruins management group when you've got how many more years left of Elias Lindholm's contract where he's got 3 goals and 13 points. What are we going to do here to like fix the team? Because maybe the team's just not that good. Maybe they're not being sharp in practice.
They've
but
been hot. Like that game was the opposite of what's been going on.
Yeah, that last night was the outlier.
Yeah,
They're
Jets,
7-3 in their last 10.
The Jets are well on their way down, and the Bruins are well on their way
I
up.
wouldn't say well on their way down.
yeah, they
Lost like 5 of 7.
Yeah, they did.
Is it 5 of 7?
I think so.
Yeah.
Heading into last night.
Yeah, it's hard to go down when you're so high up. You
Right.
know, like they're going
Play
down.
500 the rest of the year, you're fine.
Yeah.
They can
Hellebuck's at a 927 now, which is like
What a fraud.
fraud watch. The Connor Hellebuck 920 challenge is back alive. Buy a Hellebuck jersey or whatever.
I hope
said
that
I'd
comes
do.
down to the wire.
Me too. It's like last game, he has to make 50 saves to get back up to a 920, like something like
my
that. That'd be
God.
fun.
I hope that goes
But yeah, it's
down.
still alive. I'm looking better now. 7 points away or 8 points away.
Yeah, but like I couldn't believe it every time I checked on that game. I saw a lot of people posting Trent Frederick knocking out, I don't remember who it was, in a fight. And it just reminded me of Texas Rangers fans constantly posting about Rugi Odor punching Jose Bautista in the face. It's like, okay, but like we own you.
Yeah.
Also,
Did you win?
yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I think they won like that specific game, but like also get wrecked always.
Yeah.
they swept them that year in the playoffs.
They sure
Swept
did.
them.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. After beating them the year before. Sorry, it's Toronto. We don't get to talk a lot of shit.
Man, that was a good 2-year run we had.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah. And Texas
God, the
did
Blue
end up
Jays
winning
suck.
the World Series a couple years later.
Yeah, but fuck them.
No,
They didn't beat the Jays, did they?
Yeah.
Nope, didn't think so.
Fuckers.
So that's all.
No,
that's going.
Steve's right. Like his point that the Bruins, that's not who they are recently. So they should be fine.
You'd think.
But wouldn't
Yeah.
it be great if they weren't?
Yes.
It'd be like way more fun. Like I'm not saying like rooting for any particular player's downfall. I'm rooting for the whole team.
I don't.
Not downfall. I want them all to realize they don't like hockey that much and retire happily.
I like that.
That'd be cool.
I like that a lot.
Brad Marchand's going to be awesome on Team Canada.
He is.
Four Nations.
Yeah.
I bet that.
I hope he
rejuvenates
wins.
it too. Like,
I hope he wins and goes, I've won everything there is to win.
I don't need to play anymore.
That's it.
I've done this.
Thanks for the dough.
That all Nova Scotia line's going to be bonkers. I
Yeah,
can't
it's
wait.
going to be crazy.
Yeah. So I think you know what? We'll end it there and we'll go to a press conference unless, Jesse, there is no time.
No, we got plenty of time.
Let's do it. Press conference.
The Presser. SDP. The Steve Dangle Press Conference.
If you are not subscribed to SDP VIP,
What's your problem?
you should be. On Apple, on Spotify, on YouTube, on any of your preferred listening platforms, you can subscribe to SDP VIP, which gets you an extra episode a week. And this week is special because I think there's only one important thing in the world that like really needs our attention.
What is that, Jesse?
And that's Steve Dangle's favorite woman in the world, Haley Welch.
Oh, how dare you?
Oh, yes.
How dare you?
Yeah.
I am actually quite excited to talk
Steve's
about this.
been championing Hawk Tua Girl, if you don't know that's her
I
real name.
bought the wrong stock.
And he's got to eat some crow for being the biggest Hawk Tua fan in the universe.
To be honest, man, I didn't hate anything that was going on until this.
Oh, yeah.
And I totally hate this.
No. It's because people were like, I hate her on principle, and now it's like, no, that's a fair criticism.
Yeah.
It's bad. It's bad.
Last night during the game, we ran the Jacob Battaglia interview, cut down a little bit in one of the intermissions. And I'm dying for you to go back and watch or listen to our live show from the Caesar Company because that kid rocks. Yeah, I was watching a little bit of it again. I'm like, oh man, this guy's funny. Like
Two for two.
Second. Yeah, we've had 2 great Jacobs.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Jacob Oster from the Generals, Jake Battaglia from the Frontenacs, and he's a second-round pick of the Flames. He's awesome. Guy's hilarious.
Yeah.
First question comes from Ryan Stahl on Twitter,
There's
who writes,
another stall.
and this is spelled differently.
Gunnar Stahl.
Anze Kopitar just played in his 1,400th game.
Wow.
He's on pace for 94 points, a career high, in his 19th season. Is he the most underrated player of this generation?
Does he take that spot from Sasha Barkov, who's held it for at least a decade?
Yeah, like Kopitar might actually be overrated.
Underrated.
Sorry. Wow. My bad.
That's a big one, though.
You're typing and talking.
Yeah, I know. I'm not good at it. Sorry. Barkov might actually. Sorry, for fuck's sake.
We love you, man.
Kopitar. I don't. Kopitar might actually be underrated because Barkov has held the title for so long that he couldn't possibly be. Oh yeah, the captain of the reigning Cup champions is underrated for sure. It's over. Barkov's not underrated anymore. He's gotten his flowers. He's been nominated for his awards. He's won the Stanley Cup. Like, let's stop. Kopitar, 1,401 games now, 427 goals, 816 assists, 1,243 points. And the fact that he's still on pace for 94. Like, what was it? 2017, he was nominated for the Hart. 18. He had 92 points. So he's on pace for a career high. And the previous career high got him nominated for best player in the world.
And it's not a narrative. Like, this tweet is the only discussion I've seen amongst non-Kings fans.
It's not a narrative, like, in the slightest. Like,
no,
who the hell is talking about
He's
this?
having an incredible season, and there's just no noise about it.
No.
Well, the Kings are good, too, and started not good, and now they're really good, and people aren't talking about it.
There are times where I'm like, Eastern bias is overblown, and then I have a look at Anze Kopitar, and I go, fair point. Valid.
Yeah.
Valid. He plays in the Atlantic or Metro his whole career. Like, we're talking first ballot, like, easily. And now I just feel like he's almost like a hockey player you talk about to sound smart.
Oh,
Except he's just incredible.
yeah.
Like, he's just flatly incredible. You don't need to look hard. He's I'm trying to think of like his comparables. Like, who, like, it's difficult because he retired so young, although I don't know if he's officially retired, but like how much further apart or how far apart are Anze Kopitar and Jonathan Toews really? Like, throughout their career, I don't think they were very far apart.
No.
In terms of production, Selke votes, Kopitar had the 2 cups, Toews had 3. Kopitar probably didn't have the same supporting cast. He also doesn't get the international shine. How many NHL players has Slovenia ever had? Like, what are the odds any Slovenian player ever passes him? Ever.
I think good because it's growing in Slovenia.
Because of him.
Yeah, sure.
Like, he's a foundational player. He's most underrated player of his generation. Like, I'm tempted to not even throw one of the in front of that.
The
Who's more? Like, he's been
Connor Duer's pretty good.
He is. He's been so ignored that, like, you have to think of someone you don't usually think of.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go with Anze Kopitar. Yeah.
Sasha Barkov is the correct answer.
No, it's not. It's not. It's everyone knows how good he is.
If you ask an NHL player, they still have that answer from 10 years ago.
They're wrong.
Yeah. I promised this last episode, Steve, we talked about your personal dang-its, and you couldn't think of any.
Oh, no.
So I said, hey, leave some dang-its in the comments on YouTube, and we'll get back to some of them.
Oh, I can't wait. This will be fun.
So I got 4 here that I'll read.
Okay.
This was a comment from Culturican3045. One of my favorite dang it moments, for whatever reason, was one of the prospect pyramids where either at or near the very beginning, Steve sets the whiteboard up and excitedly exclaims, "The prospect pyramid!" only for one of the whiteboards to then immediately fall over and then groan and make a jump cut to talking about the budget he's working with or something of that nature. The groan he makes upon it falling so quickly gets me every time.
I don't remember.
You don't remember that?
No. I believe you, though. Those whiteboard videos were so stupid. Like, they were great. They were fun visually, but what a pain in the ass. What an enormous pain in the ass. I've done a lot of things like eating a spoon or eating with a spoon around your head like that. I don't know why I made things so difficult on myself.
Lone Wolf Poetics said eating the mustard last year.
Eat mustard cupcake.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
That was
great.
your top dang it.
I don't know if that's a dang it. That was a great moment.
It was disgusting.
It doesn't work, but it was perfect.
That was horrible. That was horrible.
S. John 4299 said something for the LFR's dang it's when Steve threw his phone during the 9-2 Nashville loss in 2014 and it made a mark on his door.
That never came off.
You damaged your house.
Wow.
Damaged the house. I think we painted over.
Every day that you walked out of that room, you were reminded of the 9-2 loss to
I
Nashville.
was reminded how good OtterBox phone cases are.
Yeah. They were
And
good.
last one, Assume Assassin writes, how could we forget this one? Steve's biggest dang it, MLH.
Oh.
No. Which is, you made a whole video and uploaded it. So I would say that's probably your biggest dang it. Yeah, how was that not number one on the list?
Oh, man.
I hate that so much.
Man.
I hope, like, to everyone listening and watching, I hope you never feel that humiliated.
I remember.
I hope.
I remember getting the call from Steve on the way home when that happened. And Steve's like, oh, well, and then he explained what happens. And I just started laughing. and Steve was like, what the fuck are you laughing? And I'm like, because it's not that big of a deal. Like, it isn't. And then I remember I was getting ready. I was in the bathroom getting ready. I was probably naked talking to you guys. And I was getting ready to come in and stream a game, a playoff game. And people were like, the comments were so hostile. You need to explain yourself to me. And I was like, well, it's pretty easy. Steve had a source. He thought it was a good source. He'd had good things from that source before, and they burned him.
I literally just, like, someone I've known for 10 years set me on fucking fire.
And I said, it happens. And everybody was like, oh. And I'm like, there was no Saudi money, guys. Don't worry.
Oh yeah, you did.
That was the thing.
Night.
Like, people were like, how much money did he get paid? I'm like, where did this come from? What do you mean Steve got paid?
Yeah.
Like, there was some person somewhere started a thing. Well, he must have been paid by the Saudi government to do this, and then it became this whole big thing where it was like, well, Steve clearly, and that's why we call him Saudi Steve.
Yeah, it was because everybody jumped to this new league is going to be the live golf of hockey.
Yes.
Even though it was started by two North American crooks and there was never any Saudi money. Like, there was no involvement with the Middle East at all. It was just some sort of thing that everybody jumped on and was like, okay, so if this is going to be live golf of hockey, then Steve must be being funded by the government. Like, none of it made any sense.
Yeah.
But
it was
Steve's reaction to it, I think, was fair because you realized what might be coming in terms of, like, the reaction from the public.
Yeah.
And for a weekend it happened, and then on Monday we got to the podcast again and we talked about it and we explained, like, he just got burned, and then everything was fine.
I literally had to go to a kid's birthday party, like, as soon as I got home. It, like, after making sure everything was deleted and everything, and, like, I pulled over to write something and be like, I got burned, I'm so sorry, and blah, blah, blah. And, like, literally just had to pretend nothing happened and go to the trampoline kid's birthday party. I'm bringing home a baby bumblebee. Well, my mom.
I don't know.
Like,
I don't have a kid. I don't know that.
oh, fuck. I just had to pretend for my tiny child that everything was fine. And
That's what being a parent is.
I know,
Pretending.
it's horrible.
also, Jesse, you don't have to sing to your kid as much as Steve and SL do. It's just that she's a kindergarten teacher.
Yeah,
So they
I
have
don't
to
know if you know all these lyrics too.
I
but-
don't.
Okay.
I don't. I do know. I actually remember that one from being a kid, but I'll tell you, I don't sing to Everly all that much. But you guys are like,
I sing to them every day.
when you guys put
wow.
Leo to bed, it's like 5 different songs, a couple books. I'm like,
Not
Everly,
anymore, not
we're reading a book, get to bed, bye.
No, now it's just books now.
Oh, is it?
And every now and then he asks me to sing him a song. I'm like, you're my baby forever, and then I do it. But
Anyway,
yeah,
that helicopter outside on the helipad here at the SDP
Yeah.
headquarters still looks real good, man. It looks like you shined that up before you.
Yeah. Also, for everybody out there, those guys who were trying to start this league, they're
frauds.
They're still frauds.
Yeah.
And nothing ever happened to them, and they're still trying to fraud people.
Yeah.
But most people in hockey now know to completely avoid them.
every now and then I'll get a message like, "Hey, we're working on a story," and I'm like, "All right,
Hey,
I'll relive this again."
Hey,
sure.
you got fucked.
Yeah,
Tell
hey,
us about it.
hey, dumb fuck.
No, you know what?
Give us
man?
your dumb fuck story.
It was just a time and a place. And this is the thing. Listen, we're all gonna have days where we put our foot in our mouths, and if you can have a good sense of humor about it, like that's all you can do. Nobody,
I do now.
yeah, nobody was hurt. Like it, there were people that could have been defrauded, but it wasn't your fault that they were defrauded. It was the people who were committing the fraud.
Yeah, you were on the side of like, you got tricked too.
And then you said, "Hey, I got tricked."
Oh, I went out of my way to reach out to a bunch of pro players reached out, and they're like, "What?"
There was an NHL player who was interested in.
Oh yeah, yeah. Fuck. That was a bad one. That was a
Listen,
bad
we'll
one.
wrap it up there.
I think yeah, if we're making list of dang it's, that's
That's a good one.
That's got to leave.
Is MLH real?
No. Do you want a quote from Andrew Burnett to end it?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm fired.
Not was it 2 nights ago? I guess Monday night. Andrew Burnett told the Tennessean, "We could scratch every guy in our lineup, but unfortunately, we need players going." At different times, scratching high-profile players crosses your mind, but they have to earn it. You can't just do it to do it. It's a false thing to do where you try to create something. Players see right through that. Is there going to come a time to scratch high-profile players? There might. But saying that, everyone wants to be held accountable. But they don't like when they're held accountable. That's where it's tricky. And when you've got a whole team that's probably not playing up to their capabilities, to their expectations, it's easy to have an excuse for how come he's not getting it. My point to them is, how about you play better?
And then I went to Shelbyville and I tied an onion to my belt, which was the style at the time.
What's going on in Nashville?
Who's he talking about? Like
All of them.
All of Stamkos,
Stamkos,
Marchessault. Forsberg's actually having like a decent season from
he's
just
great.
counting numbers standpoint.
He's unreal, considering no one on the team is friggin' doing anything. I'm trying to think in recent memory of teams who have been more not screwed because they still have a ton of picks. If they chose to rebuild right now, they'd probably be fine. But has any team thought they were been further off from what their own projections of themselves were? Probably not since the 2018 Sens, who traded for Matt Duchene.
Yeah.
No, that would have been the very end of 2017.
Yeah.
Right,
let me throw this at you, just some stats. To get into the wild card spot in the West right now, you need to have at least 33 points. The Nashville Predators are 13 points shy of that already.
Yeah.
you're
And
cooked.
I think you're cooked.
This quote was coming off of Monday's loss to Calgary, where it was their 8th straight loss. Not a lot of people have realized they're on an 8-game losing streak.
It's their worst stretch in
And-
12 years.
And Yossi got injured and didn't play the last 2 periods.
Oh, my God.
Like, the level of screwed that Nashville is at this point is astronomical.
There's the Hart Trophy, and then there's actual MVP. Like, your franchise is dead without this player. It might be Roman Yossi. Like,
Yeah.
fold and move.
They're,
without him.
I don't know what
We got to start.
Where'd they go from?
We got to start asking the question about Barry Trotz already. You guys all want. Everybody wants to talk about Andrew Burnett. I'd like to talk about Barry Trotz.
You know, you killed the man, but not the idea. Is he Mike Milbury?
Oh no.
Coach who randomly became GM and started just being the Mad Hatter with every friggin' move that he makes.
Man. Oh man, I don't know. That's extreme.
No, it is extreme.
Mike Milbury is one of the worst general managers that's ever been. Like that's bad.
Writing about him in the worst trades ever chapter was so fun.
You could have just done the whole chapter on what he did.
Well,
his entire resume.
It's not just this trade happened and it was bad. No, it was like the logic of even thinking to do this was so profoundly stupid.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, he's just a barrel of laughs.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, just to correct myself, I have my days mixed up. It was last night.
Yeah.
Not.
Yeah, I thought so.
No, I have my days mixed up because
Yeah.
we recorded yesterday.
And
last night, 8th straight loss. Last night, Roman Yossi leaves. The brunette quotes come Tuesday, like during the day.
yeah.
Anyways,
And the
just-
Nashville Predators, as of right now, are tied for the Blackhawks with the Blackhawks for last in the NHL.
That's
And they
all
played a
right.
game more than the Blackhawks, which is why that's the tiebreaker.
the Blackhawks are rebuilding and have been so bad in that rebuild that they fired their coach.
Yeah.
And the
you're
Preds are
at
as
the-
bad. I can't believe it.
That's as bad as they are now. Or has,
They've gotten goaltending.
oh,
Their captain's having a great year.
negative
suck.
28 goal differential, only beaten by the Pittsburgh Penguins with a negative 30.
No, but the Pens are good.
No, they're good. Yeah, they lost again last night.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.